In the heart of Oke-Odo, a small but thriving town in Kwara State, lived a woman named Fatia. She was the kind of woman people admired from afar, rich, sophisticated, and always dressed in the finest fabrics money could buy. The other women in the town envied her, not just for her wealth, but for the way she carried herself, as if she were royalty. But behind her beauty and wealth was a dark, shameful secret. One she would do anything to erase. That secret was her son, Toby. Toby was born different. Unlike other children, he was short, with tiny arms and legs that made him stand out. While other boys in Oke-Odo grew tall and strong, Toby remained small, his features delicate, yet distinct. When Fatia first laid eyes on her son, lying in the arms of the midwife, her heart filled not with love but with disgust. This cannot be my child, she whispered, her face twisting in horror. The midwife, an elderly woman who had delivered many children, looked at Fatia with sad eyes. Madam, he is your blood. He is healthy, strong in spirit. But Fatia wasn't listening. She turned her face away. From that moment on, she made a decision. She would never love him. The people of Oke-Odo were curious. Where was Fatia's child? Why had no one seen him? Women in the town always showed off their babies, carrying them proudly in wrappers on their backs. But Fatia, she never spoke of her son, never allowed him to be seen in public. When people asked, she would force a stiff smile and say, God gives and takes. Toby, despite his mother's coldness, grew up full of life. He was different, yes, but his heart was pure. He laughed easily, found joy in the smallest things, and always longed for his mother's love. But no matter how hard he tried, Fatia never looked at him with kindness. She made sure he knew that he was a mistake. She locked him inside the house when visitors came so no one would see him. She refused to buy him proper clothes, forcing him to wear rags while she adorned herself in gold. She never celebrated his birthdays. And when he cried, she turned away. Every day, Toby sat by the window, watching the world outside. He saw children his age playing, their mothers calling them inside for dinner, kissing their foreheads, tucking them into bed. He wondered what it would feel like to be loved like that. One evening, as Fatia sat outside her shop, a group of women gathered nearby, their voices floating toward her. Did you hear? Mama Khalid's son won a scholarship. Mama Sul's boy is already learning his father's business. But have you seen Fatia's son before? Does he even exist? The women laughed. Fatia clenched her fists. The shame of having Toby as a son was too much to bear. That night, she lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, a single thought growing in her mind. She had to get rid of him. Fatia's decision to abandon her son did not come suddenly. It had been building inside her for years. Every time she looked at him, something inside her twisted with anger. She had worked so hard to build her reputation in Oke-Odo, and now this child, a dwarf, was ruining it. One night, as Toby sat on the floor playing with a piece of broken wood, Fatia watched him with cold, unreadable eyes. You should not have been born, she whispered. Toby looked up. Mama? She turned away. He was too young to understand the hatred in her heart. But soon she would make sure he was gone. The next morning, Fatia sent for an old servant, Baba Bode. He had worked for her family for years, his back bent with age, his hands rough from labor. He arrived at her shop, wiping the sweat from his forehead. You called for me, madam? Fatia's voice was as smooth as palm oil, but cold as the Harmattan wind. I need you to take the boy far away. Baba Bode blinked. Far away? Drive him deep into the forest. Leave him there. He must never return. Baba Bode's mouth fell open. He had expected many things, but not this. He had watched Toby grow, seen his bright eyes filled with innocence. How could a mother do this to her own child? But madam, he is your son, he dared to say. Fatia's face darkened. Do as I say, she hissed, or you will regret it. Baba Bode hesitated, but he knew Fatia well. She was not a woman to be disobeyed. That night, while Toby slept, Baba Bode wrapped him in a cloth and carried him gently. As he placed the boy in the back of his truck, his hands trembled. The road ahead was long, dark, and full of unknown dangers. As the truck rumbled through the dusty path, Toby stirred. Baba Bode, he whispered sleepily. Baba Bode swallowed the lump in his throat. Rest, my boy. The journey felt endless. The deeper they drove into the wilderness, the more the trees swallowed them, their twisted branches casting shadows like ghostly fingers. Finally, they arrived at a lonely hut, hidden deep within the forest. An old woman sat outside, grinding herbs with a stone. The light from a single lantern flickered across her wrinkled face. This was Mama Jaja, a mysterious healer, feared and respected by those who knew her name. Baba Bode stepped out, carrying Toby in his arms. Mama Jaja, he whispered, I have brought him. Mama Jaja stood slowly, her piercing eyes scanning the small boy. She nodded. He is special, she said simply. Baba Bode hesitated, then placed Toby down gently. Toby looked up at the old woman, confused, but unafraid. Who are you? Mama Jaja smiled. I am the one who will show you who you really are. Back in Oke-Odo, Fatia slept peacefully for the first time in years. The night was silent, except for the occasional hoot of an owl perched on a tree nearby. The stars stretched across the sky like scattered diamonds, but inside the old truck, Baba Bode felt nothing but guilt. Toby lay in the back seat, his small body curled up as he shivered in the cold night air. He was still too sleepy to understand what was happening, but deep inside something felt wrong. The road was rough, the truck bouncing over stones and potholes as they went deeper into the forest. With every mile, the town of Oke-Odo disappeared behind them, swallowed by the darkness. Baba Bode stole a glance at Toby through the rearview mirror. How could a mother do this? Toby had always been different, yes, but he was pure, innocent, full of life. The boy had done nothing to deserve this fate. But in all his years of service, Baba Bode had learned never to question Fatia. Her heart was as hard as iron, her words as sharp as a blade. Finally, after what felt like forever, the truck pulled up to a small, lonely hut, hidden deep in the forest. Smoke curled from a fire pit outside, and the soft hum of an old woman's voice drifted through the air. Mama Jaja. She sat on a wooden stool, grinding herbs with a stone, her eyes sharp and knowing. The moment she saw Baba Bode, she nodded, as if she had been expecting him. You have brought him, she said simply. Baba Bode swallowed hard. Yes, but... He hesitated, looking down at Toby. The boy rubbed his eyes, confused. Mama Jaja, please take care of him, Baba Bode whispered. He is innocent. The old woman let out a slow, deep breath. No child is born without a purpose, she said. Then she crouched and gently touched Toby's face. You are stronger than you know, she murmured. Toby stared at her, unsure of what to say. He was afraid, but somehow the old woman's voice made him feel safe. Baba Bode turned back to the truck, his hands shaking. He wanted to say something, to promise Toby that things would be all right. But the words stuck in his throat. Without another word, he climbed into the truck and drove away, leaving behind a cloud of dust. Toby watched the truck disappear, his heart sinking. Mama Jaja, he whispered, looking up at the old woman. Where am I? She smiled faintly. You are where you are meant to be, my child. Deep in Oke-Odo, Fatia woke up that night to the sound of rain tapping against her window. For the first time in years, she felt peaceful. She believed her problem was gone. She had no idea that karma was already waiting for her. The days passed slowly. At first, Toby felt lost. He didn't understand why he had been left in the forest, why his mother had sent him away. But Mama Jaja never treated him like an outcast. Instead, she gave him food, warm clothes, and a place to sleep. Unlike Fatia, she looked at him with kindness. One evening, as Toby sat outside the hut staring at the tall trees, Mama Jaja sat beside him. She held a small wooden staff carved with strange symbols. Do you know why you are here? She asked. Toby shook his head. Baba Bod brought me here, Mama Jaja chuckled. Yes, but it was destiny that led you to me. Toby frowned. Destiny? Mama Jaja nodded toward the trees. Listen, she whispered. Toby closed his eyes. At first, he only heard the usual sounds, the wind rustling through the trees, the chirping of crickets. But then, something changed. A whisper. It was faint but clear, like a secret carried by the wind. His eyes snapped open in shock. What was that? He gasped. Mama Jaja smiled. The forest is speaking to you. Toby's heart pounded. He had always felt different, but he had never imagined that it meant something. You have a gift, Toby, Mama Jaja said, one that your mother never saw, but one the world will soon recognize. Toby's mind swirled with questions, but before he could ask, the wind blew again, stronger this time. It carried a warning. And suddenly he saw it. A vision. The vision flashed before Toby's eyes. It was like a dream, but clearer, stronger, realer. He saw Oke-Odo, his home. The marketplace was on fire, the flames licking at the wooden stalls. People were running, screaming, their faces twisted in fear. And then he saw them, men on horseback dressed in dark robes, their faces covered. They carried torches, setting houses ablaze. They were coming. Toby gasped, snapping back to reality. His chest heaved, his forehead wet with sweat. Mama Jaja, he choked out. Something bad is coming to Oke-Odo. The old woman's expression darkened. The forest never lies, she murmured. Toby scrambled to his feet. We have to do something. We have to warn them. Mama Jaja studied him carefully. Do you wish to save a town that abandoned you? A mother who threw you away? Toby hesitated. His heart ached. He had every reason to stay silent, to let Oke-Odo suffer. But deep inside, he knew he couldn't, because he was not like his mother. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. I have to stop this, Mama Jaja nodded approvingly. Good. She turned toward the forest and whistled. A deep rumble filled the air. The trees trembled, and one by one the animals began to appear. Monkeys, snakes, birds, and a lion. The same lion Toby had once saved from a hunter's trap. It roared, shaking the ground beneath them. Toby's eyes widened. He didn't know how, but he understood. They were ready to fight with him. The battle for Oke-Odo was about to begin. The fire outside Mama Jaja's hut burned brightly, casting shadows on the ground. The air was thick with tension. Toby stood at the edge of the flames, staring into them. He didn't understand everything that was happening, but one thing was clear. He had a role to play. The vision had been a warning. Oke-Odo was in danger, and he was the only one who could stop it. But how? Mama Jaja walked towards him, placing a hand on his shoulder. The forest has chosen you, Toby, she said. You are stronger than you think. Toby clenched his fists. His mother had abandoned him, called him useless. But now he had a purpose. The flames crackled, and in the distance, the lion let out a low, deep growl. The time for hiding was over. Toby turned to Mama Jaja. I'm ready,